Hello, another quick little update. Things don't look that different right now, but they're actually very different internally. So you might see that there's little polka dots on my necklace, and that's not just a texture change. It's because I made a custom shader for this avatar. So all of the coloration is essentially procedural, sort of. So I devised a thing that I'm calling a pigment map. I don't know if this is a technique that anyone else has used before, but basically, um, I've figured out a texture format that would let me do a whole bunch of different materials baked into a single texture, and where I can provide different colors for each of the materials. So this isn't visible yet, but so for example, I can have like different stripe patterns on the skin or the tummy, or change the color of the necklace and all four colors on it, eyes, hair, all that stuff. So I can modify all the colors on the fly procedurally, or as like shader parameters, and so I can swap out different patterns by choosing different pigment maps. So now I can do, for example, I can have like the pigmentation be plaid, and then have like a purple versus a red versus a blue or whatever. I can have splotchy, same thing. I can have stripes, same thing. I can make it so that I can make the tummy patch show or hide, and there will just be the pattern underneath. There's also hair pigment. So on colorations where, like, so for example, some of the color themes that I like, it'll have like striped layers of hair, for example, and so that's all possible with this shader. Also, other couple of little tiny updates. Obviously, I fixed the mouth animation, and I also discovered through the what was it? Through the I'm always blanking on the name. Uh, Gosh. Anyway, the tool that I was using last night to find some problems, I had identified that I was exporting the FBX rig at the wrong scale. And so fixing that actually fixed a whole bunch of stuff. So actually I have the eye tracking and finger tracking enabled for everything on the avatar. And the scale is correct. So it turns out that VRChat was trying to correct for having having an armature that was just like way out of scale, and so it was just going to a default armature, which I guess that's an okay failure mode to do. And so yeah, anyway, this is all working now, and it's really cool. So if I were to get a headset with eye tracking or finger tracking, theoretically that would all work. I don't know how well finger tracking would work with the mittens, but still, it's a possibility. And I'll have to have a friend who runs on an index. I'll have to see if what happens if they clone the avatar or the like. Um, yeah, I think that the basic modeling is essentially done, and I just need to make some pigment maps, and I need to wire up the pigments and normals and so on and materials into expressions. There's still some things I'd like to fix, like the thumbs up gesture is still a little weird. Like the thumb is just like way the hell out there. Um, but I think that's because now I was overcorrecting, and so like the thumb's armature, like its bone starts like right by the wrist, and I think I need it just to move it up a bit. Um, yeah, this is really cool though. And oh, and also all my hair physics were fixed. So another symptom of the hair armature of the armature scale issue. So when I was setting up the fizz bones, for some reason I had to set the collider radius to be really really tiny. So like instead of it being based on meters, it was based on like it was like a factor of 100 off. So like instead, it's like so like for a fizz bone that needed to be 1 centimeter wide, instead of setting it to 0.01, I had to set it to 0.0001. And that turned out to also be a symptom of the armature scale issue. So I actually wrote a blog entry on my site, beesbuzz.biz/blog, about, and if you go to the VR chat tag on there, then you can see all the stuff I was talking about. And oh yeah, yeah, the eyes are a lot better. Oh yeah, also the pupil radius. That's also a shader parameter. I need to tweak the math on how it actually colors it, but that's still a thing. And also I also made some nice little normal maps for the corneas. So in lighting conditions where that happens, it's a very subtle effect, but I think it'll add a whole lot. I also added an ambient occlusion and normal maps for the teeth and so on, and the back of the throat. La 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 la. Ooh, there we go. So you can see the uvula. That's still just like done with ambient occlusion. I used to have that baked into the texture. Now it's a separate AO map, and that also includes subsurface coloring. So that's also a shader parameter. So like I can, it's not really visible in the lighting here, but it gives you a nice thing where, like, rather than the like the nose and mouth and everything being completely flat colored, you can add on a gradient through the pigmentation map, or not through the pigmentation map, through the subsurface channel of the occlusion map. So yeah, there's a lot of really cool stuff in the shader. So this is actually let's see, it's not the first time I've used surface shaders in Unity, but this is definitely the most ambitious surface shader I've done, and it was really nice to do. So like documentation for Unity is a little iffy, but if you want to make a more complex shader, I really recommend using a surface shader, where rather than having to write the entire shader pipeline yourself, it gives you the option to just replace basically, it's similar to, like, if you ever used Unreal Engine, it's similar to how materials are set up there, where you have a blueprint that takes stuff in and then maps transformed stuff to output slots on the master shader, and then just builds shaders automatically based on what you specify. So Unity's surface shaders worked like that. So rather than having to write because Unity shaders are incredibly complicated if you want to build them from scratch. But if you use the standard shader base and then write a surface shader that takes advantage of that, then all you have to do is, if you want different coloration, you just override the albedo. If you want to change like the shininess or the metallic glossiness or whatever, that's all just shader parameters. Oh, and also a nice thing from writing my own surface shader is I no longer have to pre-process my metallic maps to swap the green and alpha channel. Now I can just grab the metal from red and specular from green. So that improves my pipeline. I mean, I had script tools to like automate all that anyway, but it makes things a little easier for me. Let's see, and I mean, I still have to have those tools in place for the Pigment Maps, because I use the alpha channel for one of the channels on the Pigment Map. So like the way and I need to write a blog entry about how Pigment Maps work, but so basically there's 4 bits essentially. So the red, green, blue, and alpha channels are all treated sort of as bits. So it gives you a 16 color palette, or basically 16 materials, and so then it's just blending between color sets based on those. And then there's some extra stuff for the eyes, like the irises and pupils. That's actually a 3-level thing. So in that case, it's special cased so that the red channel is basically what affects the parameters within a material. So basically the way it's set up, green, blue, and alpha are selectors for the material, and then red is the modulator within that material. So for example, the skin material, it's tagged with red, green, or with green, blue, and alpha of 0, and then the red channel controls the modulation between the base color and the pigment. And so with the eyes, the modulation parameter, it's actually it's got 3 steps. So at 0, it's the albumin of the eyes. At 0.5, it's the iris, and at 1, it's the pupil. And then there's a little, or maybe it's the other way around, but I forget. I only wrote it like 3 hours ago. I already forgot. But then there's a little parameter that changes the gradient between pupil and iris, and it's a hack right now. I'll make it better in the future, but it works really nicely. That said. So yeah, so there's so basically like most of the shader is just like this really complicated series of lerps. And so another cool thing about that is you can actually blend between material colors as well if you want. So for example, like I could do like an alpha blend on the tummy patch. Oops, grabbed the wrong thing. So I could do an alpha blend on the tummy patch so that like it fades between the tummy patch and the base skin color, and all of the all pigmentation, like striping, whatever, would come through just fine on that. Let's see what else. There's my little necklace. It jiggles. Bling 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 bling. It's mapped weirdly on my body. I still need to adjust some stuff with the avatar setup. So this is where my neck physically is, and my chin is like, this is about the height of my physical chin, and so like the necklace is like way down on my sternum in real life. But I mean, that's to be expected. This critter's proportions aren't quite the same as my real life body, so whatever. It's just based on it. Yeah. Oh, and then yeah, like horns and teeth are also separate colors. So the horns and teeth, those are treated as the modulation parameter on that channel essentially. So so like the red channel would modulate between the horn color and the teeth color. Now, horns and teeth are usually both white, but I have the ability to change that, and also have, maybe like do a little gradient on the horn so that it's like, it's like the tooth color at the base and the horn color at the tip or whatever. And so that would give me a little more flexibility with how I present myself. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, I need to write up a blog entry on how that works. I'll probably do that after I've made some pigment maps so I can have some demonstrative images of that. But yeah, this is really cool. I'm really happy with how the shader turned out. And obviously it won't work on Quest, so with Quest I'm just doing a single static coloration for the critter, and that's fine. On Quest, it actually appears as sort of like a void in space, and this is on purpose now. This was a mistake before because I was using vertex colors, which I didn't realize I was doing. And so like most of my vertex colors were black, and so all of the mobile shaders were just turning all the surface black. And I thought it looked really cool, so I decided to lean into it. And so for the Quest version, even after I fixed the vertex colors, I made a material so that the skin is black, the inside of the mouth is black, but like the teeth, tongue, whites of the eyes, hair, and horns and necklace are all white, so it kind of looks like if you remember the old iPod ads with like the dancing silhouettes. That's kind of what it looks like. And I think it looks really cool, and I'll be really happy when I finally get this fully textured with the plaid and the stripes and all that, and getting all the parameters wired up to my expressions parameters, because then I think I will be done with this ridiculous project. Well, for the most part. I mean, still tweaking, of course, like, the thumb shapes again, like on the like thumbs up again, is like needs tweaking. But yeah, I'm pretty happy about how this is all progressing in any case. Yeah, that's it. So yeah, thanks for listening to me ramble again, and I'll see you later.